we're going to start with the 2017 free agency class because while 2016 free agency was out of its mind, take a look at what's coming up next year. Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Blake Griffin, the Greek freak, all free agents. Continue through the list because it gets even crazier when you get to the bottom half of this one too. The next card will show you. Back one, Chris Paul, Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, more Paul and Lowry's who I'm alluding to here. And lastly, Dennis Schroeder, Danilo Gallinari, Paul Millsap, Victor Oladipo. You know, the bottom half is not necessarily as crazy as that first card, which includes Steph Curry, right? And the cap goes up another $17 million. So can the Warriors keep Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant? Yeah, they actually can. And I don't think any of them have to take a pay cut. They can pretty much sign up to max deals. However, it would drastically affect their depth, which, not to keep talking about the Warriors has been doing all week, their depth has taken a goddamn bullet to the knee. Ezeli, gone. Barnes, gone. Spates, gone.
But a major point, Iguodala
stayed.
Yeah,
but he's in their starters, which, again, like Livingston's still there, which is great. I think Ian Clark signed. They're not a deep team anymore. They just have the greatest starting five we've probably ever seen. It might be the greatest starting five we've ever seen, or will have seen.
At the end of the season,
barring
on
injuries,
paper,
barring
it should,
everything.
yeah, on paper it should.
This is a team that can go 65, can win 65 games, and they'd be better than they were last year.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that a lot of Golden State fans were like, "Give me 65, give me 60, give me whatever you can give me to win, as long as we win the championship at the end." Because the 73-9 again hurts when you don't win the championship.
So if you think there's a reason I wanted to do this clip, and it mostly has to do with the outrage over the money. Okay. You can't be mad at the players for making their money. This is just, there's so much, the NBA has so much of it, you don't want to see it going to the owners. You don't want to see it 90% of this money going to the owners. So yeah, Austin Rivers is getting paid $12 million a year. Does that make me want to rip my hair out because he's one of the 5 worst players in the NBA? Yes. Is he better than me at basketball? In every single facet of it. He beat me 50-0 even if I had the ball first, I'd still get crushed by him. I'm just saying he's not a $12 million a year player. Evan Turner's not an $18 million a year player. But because the NBA has so much money, they're making their money. Yeah. You can't be mad at Mike Conley for getting $30 million a year, and you can't be mad at Steph Curry for getting 35 to 40 next year.
Steph Curry, he's been locked into a contract in which we've seen many players nowhere near as talented as him making a lot more money than him. So it does kind of even itself out.
Like, if the NBA really wants to fix what some people call like a super team problem, they got to put a ban on this one year player option. What LeBron James does, what Kevin Durant just did, the one and one, what almost, I would say, any superstar player is going to do. Any top 10 player in the league is going to do 1-and-1s for the rest of their freaking career. Yeah. And they're smart too, because as long as the salary cap keeps going up, they can opt out like LeBron does, like Kevin Durant will next year. I promise you, win, lose, or draw that championship, that finals, if they get there and they go all the way and win it, Kevin Durant is undoubtedly opting out. Because the Warriors could re-sign him, another 1-and-1 deal, for $5 million more a year if they wanted to, or he can go anywhere else. Russell Westbrook's going to do a 1-and-1. If he was going to sign an extension with the Thunder, he would do a 1-and-1. Because why would you give a team 5 years? When has that really worked out in the last 6 years? It has. Anthony Davis just did that 2 years ago, signed the 5-year deal, and what has he gotten? Unfortunately injured, the Pelicans have screwed him out of competing in the Western Conference completely by not even attempting to sign anybody or make trades for decent players. So why would a player do that? Why would you sign for 5 years with a team? And please, you think that a lot of people think that NBA has to do with loyalty. You should be loyal to your team. The team should be loyal to the player, not the other way around. It's I should say not fully the other way around. It's a two-way street.
Yeah, it comes down to whether or not that team has got the backing of you. So for instance, if they say to a player like Anthony Davis, we're wanting you for a 5-year deal, but we're going to build a competitive team around you. It has to work both ways. So if you're talking about loyalty, and for instance, the Kevin Durant situation, like they have gotten so close. They've gotten to the point where they were a few wins away from winning the whole series. But unless they are putting up the same amount of money in terms of the players that they're going to bring in, unless they're saying, you know what, Kevin Durant, we're going to match whatever you have in your mind that you can go and obtain at Golden State Warriors, then you cannot hold it against a player from moving on to try and obtain that greatness. I imagine that, I don't know the talks behind the scenes at the Miami Heat, but when Dwyane Wade, at the peak of his career, wanted to go in and win more rings, they probably made him promises that they were going to bring in players to match his talent and take his team further. LeBron James, Chris Bosh, that's what a loyal team will do to a loyal player. Loyalty goes both ways. So Kevin Durant, unfortunately, took that team to as far as he thought he could. And when you look at the players that were available, this is a point, again, I think every clip I'm going to make this. Loyalty doesn't play a factor anymore because there's no other players that they could bring in that makes them any better than Golden State or makes them any better than Cleveland Cavaliers. So he made the decision that was going to be best for him.
I agree. And in terms of those free agents next year, Chris Paul and James will be a free agent. Melo, I think, also technically could opt out next year.
Do you want to see Melo be loyal to the Knicks?
And Wade signed a 2-year deal. I'm not sure if it's a 1-1, though. So that team banana boat could be around the corner.
And let's talk about loyalty for a second to reiterate the point you just said. Are people seriously fucking burning Dwyane Wade jerseys? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Jesus Christ!
I talked about that one on Friday's clip. It's the idea that you burned the Heat's greatest all-time player's jersey means your fandom should be revoked and you don't deserve to talk about basketball anymore. But it's only a handful. There's like 98% of the.
Oh, I'm not saying, I'm just, those handful though, like I would like to skate over a handful and be like, it's just a minority. There shouldn't even be a minority. That just means that that's the fan of a Miami Heat team for probably the last 6 months where they've came in and went, oh, my team looks good. We got Hassan Whiteside. We're going to build that guy D Wade. Yeah, he looks good. Why is he leaving my team? They've probably just new fans that have came in. Loyalty in this sport, I have to break it to you, in a franchise or an organization where teams can suddenly just be removed from the face of the earth, the Supersonics, whatever else. Loyalty is not an argument you can make that easy because teams move around. Teams move. Loyalty, if loyalty was a major factor, then teams wouldn't be taken away from their hometowns to move to places where they can go on to further greatness. The same comes in NFL. That's why I don't have that same sort of attachment as much. That's why people are more attached to players. They think players have to be loyal because they're a fan of those players.
It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. The teams have to be loyal to the player, too. That's why I think Dwyane Wade wanted a 3rd year. But back to the, real quick to wrap it up, is like the whole point of this is the 2016 free agency was crazy. Next year is going to be twice as crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was the substance of this clip.
Just because guys like Chris Paul, Steph Curry, LeBron again, Durant again. LeBron after 3 years with the Cavs, too. We don't know what's going to happen. Does he repeat? Does he get back to the finals? Who knows?
Give me a ballpark number for what Steph Curry will get paid next year.
If the cap this year is $95 million.
Ballpark.
117. If Conley got 5 for 130, about $40 million a year. 37.5 million a year.
Damn, that's Hulk money.
37. If he signs a max deal, 37.5-ish million a year.
That's the same as Hulk, who's getting paid $375,000 a week in China.
Pretty dope.
Move to China, Steph.
Comment below.
It don't make sense.
We gotta go. Like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you next time.